Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
And Jesse, you're always grooving on that saxophone.
I love the sax.
You know, it's funny, on the audio only edits, I just removed that and used the regular, just the non-sax version.
Oh,
But you always comment on the sax, and I've never corrected it. So I'm just like, audio people are just like, what?
You're like, that
saxophone. What?
That guy's a little crazy.
Keeper just hears saxophones wherever.
It's just, always
I was walking
saxophone.
through my day and I just bust a Lisa Simpson for no apparent reason.
Yep.
That's what it's like to be in Jesse's head.
A little bit with more puppets.
With a puppet saxophone. All right. Hey, stop your clowning around.
Oh,
Did this work? Sorry. I'm like, no, we're always at least a few minutes late because I'm like, let me set all this up beforehand so I don't have to do it awkwardly after the intro.
It doesn't matter.
There's no getting around it.
We're just awkward.
That such is a live show. Savannah, what's going on? So yes, clowns. All right, so what we've been doing the last few episodes, and what we will be doing until Halloween, is every week, and this was Jesse's idea, and I still love it. Every week we are picking a different horror monster or horror trope or whatever, and this week it's evil clowns. I guess they don't have to be evil. We just said clowns, but is there a horror movie where the clown is the good guy?
there should be. I mean, like, flip the script, turn it on its ear.
Bad Santa, he's kind of the good guy and the bad guy, isn't he?
But that's not really a horror thing. He is. He's both.
Yeah.
Hey.
Billy Bob's kind of a clown.
And we will also.
Yeah.
We will. What is happening? We will also. We'll be talking entertainment news and junk. You know, there's some interesting stories this week. Some kind of downer stories. I didn't put it in the news, but we'll acknowledge passings and stuff. We usually don't. I don't like to, but we'll at least mention it. Your face is a horror trope. Thanks, Paul. So next week we'll be talking about my face.
It is when Leatherface wears it.
Oh.
That's good, because I was thinking of Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and the like bearded hillmen.
Bearded what men? Hillmen?
Yes.
Hillman.
So like
Hillbilly sounds a little racist to me, so I'm just gonna go with Hillman.
Hillman sounds like a suburban dude. Like, well, it's Bill and Jane Hillman. They've come over. They brought a delightful bottle of wine and a casserole.
Yeah. Well, that's how you be PC, They're like, Bill Hillman, he's got a squirrel casserole and some old, like, apricot foot wine brought over.
Apricot foot wine?
Yes.
They brewed in his Foot Locker.
Yep.
He's a veteran, don't you know? It's just those wacky Hillmen.
Savannah just said something. I'm not finding any confirmation on this though. Gremlins is making another sequel, but I'm not seeing any news stories confirming this.
Yes. What are your sources? Because this is serious.
That's not Twitter.
That's Gremlins, man.
Of all the stories we'll cover later, this most serious.
Yep.
Okay. The appropriate vernacular is Appalachian folk. Paul says. Savannah says she heard it today. Our sources say, wait, I got to do it. Quote it exactly. Gremlins is making another sequel. It's not another Gremlin sequel. The Gremlins are making it.
Oh, that's even better, dude.
The sources
They're
are
one step away from being Muppets.
Dave.
Can you imagine that?
her sources are Dave, Tim, and Dave. And to back it up, she says Melanie has met them.
I agree. Dave, Tim, and Dave do in fact exist.
They're real. And they like gremlins.
All right. So before we jump into also, Jesse, I'm glad you added a Cobra Kai story because I wanted to mention it. I haven't started diving into it, but maybe Melanie and I will start doing that this weekend.
Yep, I watched one episode.
Oh, you watched an episode?
I watched the first episode, and then I was like, "This is actually kind of depressing," and I don't want to be depressed right now. I'm not.
The first episode is not super rosy, and
yeah.
It's more comedy, but it's comedy drama. It's one of those. It's like a TV comedy drama.
Well, yeah, but it's like if there was karma, but then karma was like it is, and it's just like, oh, you did something bad. Well, I'm gonna like tenfold on you, not like reciprocal. It's like, you know.
I mean, that's kind of no. And if you're talking about the first episode, it's setting up the sad sack of the show, right? You know, like because he was kind of not the key villain, but he was like the villain at least of the first one. I can't remember.
I mean, he was a jerk in the first one,
right?
He tried to kill him. He tried to push him off a cliff.
So if they're gonna then focus the show where he's kind of the central character, at least at the beginning, they've got to bring you around to his side a little bit, and the easiest way to do that is make him very sad.
Yeah,
and totally reshoot the ending sequence of the movie. Or not reshoot it, but they splice it. Remember how it actually ends after he gets crane kicked? He kind of like gets up and he's like, LaRusso, you're all right. And then, but in this retelling, it's like he's face down on the mat, and
yeah.
Okay, so since we're kind of in it, let's briefly do what have we been watching? We've been watching anything other than clown shows?
Cobra Kai.
Have you? I kind of figured.
I
watched an episode of Cobra Kai. I don't know that I've watched anything else.
Bill and Ted 3.
Have you watched it? Is it good?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not like, okay, so you're never gonna go wrong with Bill and Ted in my book. Like I watched the live action TV show, which was not good.
I actually just watched a video about it.
It was bad. It was bad. But I mean, I was like, oh, this is so bad. I'm still watching it. I'm watching it anyways. And then the animated series was better than at least that. And then, so I love them all. I don't think it's a perfect movie, but the heart of it is there. And that's the most important part.
Well, it's kind of like, and I mean, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. But like the second movie, it was very different from the first one. And I was like, this is weird, but I like it. And I kind of assumed that the third one would be something similar. Where I'm like, this is not what I expected. It's a little weird, but I really like it.
Yeah. It's like they took a bit that is like a recurring gag and made it the movie, and then also had their daughters do the first two movies. It was like, and then the wives are out there doing stuff too. So it's like, yeah, it's just all over the place, but it was super fun. It's super fun. So, I have to tear it apart a little bit, or else you won't be able to believe that I like it at all.
Right. The only way we actually like the thing is if we crap on it a little.
We have to pour salt on it, tear it to pieces with our teeth. Yep. So, yeah.
Melanie was asking about it the other night, and I do want to see it. I just didn't know if I want to spend $20 to see it yet.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I was always going to own it, so I was like, you know what? Just do it. I'm gonna do it.
Can you buy it now?
Yeah. It's certain platforms allow you to buy it, and others just allow you to rent it. But through Vudu, you can buy it, and I pre-ordered it because they gave you their traditional $3 credit. I was like, oh, you just killed my wallet, but you gave me $3 back. Yeah, so when I buy Zombieland 2, it will hurt a little less.
Yeah.
$20 just for a rental. I get it. and that's another story we'll kind of get into later. Like Disney's going to be doing Mulan for $30 for rental. Woo! I get it. They're trying to like.
I'll just wait the extra 2 months or whatever it is, and then watch it with the subscription.
Yeah, and no.
In the meantime, I'll just watch The Mandalorian season 2, fools.
When's that happen?
October, because everything cool happens in October.
The best stuff happens in October.
It does.
You were gonna say something, Melanie?
I was just gonna say, I don't know now. Never mind.
Okay. Well, Melanie always lies. She's like, I didn't really watch anything. We finished Future Man, and I know I mentioned it briefly last week.
Yeah.
I don't lie. We talked about it last time, so it doesn't seem like a new thing I need to bring up.
But we finished it. We completed it. The series is over. It was 3 seasons, and we finished the season. I guess it was just this year it ended. I like it. I like it. Too. Each season did something very weird. Like it just each season feels very much its own, which is kind of cool. I'm okay with how it ended. It wasn't bad just because the whole general ride was crazy enough where it's like, okay, it wasn't great. And it's a time travel show, so there was always plot holes and stuff. But at the end, I'm like, there's some serious holes. There's some problems. But it's also like a comedy, so you can't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
Dana. Hey, Dana, what's going on? Is Future Man Hulu? Future Man is Hulu, and I highly recommend it. It's a little crass in its comedy in parts, especially that first episode. So beware of that. It's not something you want to watch with the kids around, but
it is. In the long run, it's very humorous, and they took characters that are like paper thin and stretched them over 3 seasons. So there you go. 3 seasons.
How do you get thinner than paper? Think pantyhose.
Well, and they kind of
actually, think the 80s. That's a little more like it.
They do. I don't know. It's so interesting that like it starts off as like, oh, okay, it's a comedy with this concept, and they don't take the concept for granted. They definitely explore it to its fullest possibility, but it becomes more about like, well, I want to see what Wolf's doing. Well, what's going to happen to Tiger? What about Juice? It's good. Like it becomes about the characters, and that was not what I was expecting.
Sometimes it's even like, what's that goat all about? I don't get it.
There's a goat. Every good show has a goat. That's a new thing. Doom Patrol, Future Man. If it's a comedy, it's got to have a goat, or it's gonna suck.
And every single time, I'm like, hey, it's Stevie Nicks, which I also need to get over.
I feel like Adam Sandler blew that whole theory, though.
Oh,
you got a big day tomorrow.
30-minute TV shows, not movies. You put Adam Sandler in it, it's automatically negated.
Well, that wasn't even a show. It was his CD, his comedy CD.
Hey, I like.
Don't do bad, old man.
I liked Adam Sandler as a musician more than I liked him as an actor, I think. Because Red Hooded Sweatshirt is good. Dang it, that's why.
Does What We Do in the Shadows have a goat? It's got to, right? How would that show not have a goat in there somewhere?
It does have a goat. I specifically remember there being a goat. And what's his name? Has like a lunch break with him. Geronimo. That's not his name.
Oh, Guillermo?
Yes.
Guillermo. Gizmo.
That's it. Okay, so
let's get on to the feature topic.
Yeah, enough clowning around. Now it's time to send in the clowns.
I'm going to say this, and because I say this, we're going to end up spending the next hour and a half talking about clowns. But I honestly don't think we're going to have as much to say this week about freaking clowns. I'm definitely not going to have as much to say about the movie I watched than we had to say about Frankenstein last week, which was excellent, by the way. If you missed last week, hit up our website and find it. I think it was really good.
I would definitely assume from now, even though I haven't heard your guys' reviews, but I'm going to assume that those movies or shows were better than what we watched this time.
Oh, last week?
Yeah, I think so.
Man.
So go listen to last week.
I think everything I've watched in the last 15 years is better than what I watched for this episode. I made the mistake of I veered away from my concept because previous 2 weeks I found something that had some type of tie to Doctor Who. This has no tie to Doctor Who at all. That was my mistake. Also, my mistake was being inspired by what I found on Tubi TV, but not actually watch. I'll get into it in a moment. Who wants to go first?
So it sounds like you do.
Oh, okay. Evil clowns. It was a very impromptu decision at the end of the last episode. But clowns. So initially I was searching for some stuff because listen, we didn't do it. We're not going to talk about it really. And we're not going to talk about Terrifier was one that I kind of wish I would have watched. That's a clown horror movie that gets mentioned a lot anymore. It's supposed to be kind of good. Oh, Paul mentions Captain Spaulding. Okay, yeah, that would have counted. One of the Rob Zombie horror, that trilogy, the whatever they call it, Firefly trilogy, whatever. That's it, right? That's it for clown horror movies that are well regarded.
Right. I thought about Poltergeist, but it's not really a clown movie. It just has
I would have let that pass.
I mean, yeah, but it's a legit great scene, but also it's just one scene.
And Killer Clowns from Outer Space was another one.
Yeah.
So basically, we didn't watch any of the clown ones that people.
None of the ones you know.
No. So
it's the Grawlix way.
I was searching for just different clown stuff to find something different, and I wasn't having a lot of luck. Terrifier wasn't on any of the streaming services that I'm subscribed to. I think you can rent it, but it's not I didn't want to have to pay for it. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to have to pay for no clown movie. And also the honorable mention to Vulgar. I would have rather watched Vulgar again. If you know what Vulgar is, that's a statement on its own.
Yeah.
Vulgar would have totally counted. That is a horror show.
I almost did watch that, but I didn't want to watch it. So
yeah,
that's why.
Can I say the line?
Yeah.
I want to make hate to you.
Yeah,
that right there should say all you need to know.
That's Vulgar. That's the movie.
Yeah, it's Vulgar, all right.
Oh, that's a movie where the clown's not the bad guy.
He kind of is, though, at the same time. He's definitely not a hero. He's an anti-hero at the best.
Yeah.
Speaking of sad sack, he's a sad sack. Then he becomes the victim.
Then he becomes the anti-hero.
Yeah.
It's a clown vengeance story.
It is. I like that it exists, and I always think Vulgar. I like that movie until I rewatch it. Then I'm like, oh God, you can't like this movie. No one can like it.
You can't like it and you can't forget it.
Right. Well, we're not talking about Vulgar. So I'm searching for stuff, and we put Dana says, I love YouTube videos of people dressed as clowns scaring random people. That's the thing. What year was that? Was that 2016? Where there was I think it was 2016, because I want to say people were making the joke about there's evil clowns popping up everywhere, where it became a trend.
Right.
And then also a billionaire or a millionaire businessman was running for office, so they were making the Superman, Batman thing for that year. So I want to say it was 2016 that was a big trend.
Yeah, it was weird, all over the country, if not the world. There'd just be your home security camera footage, and there'd just be a creepy clown with a balloon standing across the street for 2 hours. Just stuff, weird stuff like that.
But anyway, I was compiling a list, looking at possible things, and I was like, man, there's not really a whole lot. And I was going through every streaming service that I have access to, and there's nothing. And then I hit Tubi TV, and I should have known. Tubi TV is a free streaming service, and I don't really use it much, but I like it. I like that it's there. It's kind of like Vulgar. I never really, I don't know if it's good.
Tubi is the Vulgar of streaming sites.
I don't know if it's good, but I like that
make
it
hate
exists.
to you.
Tubi TV, come let us make hate to you. Okay, no, Tubi, you're not that bad. But if you go to Tubi TV and type in clown, whoo, There's a lot. Okay. There are a ton of clown horror movies. They're just all hiding on Tubi TV, and they all look god awful. They all look like utter complete trash. And what I watched was so bad, it wasn't even in there. So I was scrolling through and I noticed like, oh, Camp Blood. What's that? Camp Blood. And the reason Camp Blood jumped out at me is because I've been playing a lot of like these game dev tycoon type games where you make like fake games and stuff. And Camp Blood or Lake Blood, but Camp Blood is often what I use when I do a slasher type game. That's always the title. It's like my go-to. So I was like, oh, Camp Blood. Okay, what's that? There was like 6 or 7 of them on there. And like the titles were weird. Like I'm like, and they were all obviously a series, but they're all like a kind of a camp slasher series where the killer wears a clown mask. So I'm like, hey, that could be cool, but which one is like the first one? There's like so many on here. The first one's not on there. So I had to find the first one. The first one, or the first couple, are direct to video, shot on VHS, no budget horror movies. And the first one was shot in 1999, released in 2000. It's not on Tubi TV. You know it's bad when it's not on Tubi TV. Paul says 7. No, yeah, there's a lot. There's like 7, maybe 8, 7 for sure of these movies. I had to search this thing down. It was difficult. I finally found it through legitimate means. I found a copy, a decent quality copy, because otherwise it was watch it in 15-minute chunks on YouTube, because that's the only other place this movie exists online. But I did find like a good copy, full version that I watched, and I mean that's really, I have more to say about trying to find it than I have to say about the movie. It was real bad. And okay, so I knew, like, I was like, it's shot on VHS. Like, it's shot on VHS in 1999. So this could go either one. I thought this could go one way. It's going to be terrible, but it'll be fun because I like to see like low budget, the spirit of indie filmmaking. Like, I love to see that type of stuff. Plus, sorry, I hit puberty again. Plus,
we're gonna start the show at 8:30.
One time, Melanie and I rented a movie back when we used to rent a ton of movies from, was it Hollywood Video or whatever?
Family Video.
And it was like shot on VHS. So initially we're like, what? Why is this in there? Like, how did we rent this? But it was actually really good. Like, it was actually a really good movie. So they exist. Good, surprising shot on VHS movies exist.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't one of them. Because, okay, so it's pretty lazy. It's super low budget, and that's kind of fun, but the problem is, like, the acting is terrible as expected, but, like, it's just every cliche in the book, and none of it really handled well, and it doesn't even feel like there was really much. So, okay, Camp Blood is just the woods. There's no camp. Why? Because that's a set. You need a set if you're gonna like show a camp. No, you just go out in the woods and put up a tent. That's your Camp Blood.
Seems legit.
Oh, God, there's no way I can explain it. So the first half, it's just like slow and kind of dull, and it's like they're hiking out there. All the dialogue's terrible, but whatever. It's okay. This is what I expected. When it actually gets into like, it's gonna be a slasher movie now. Other than the first 5 minutes where they gratuitously show the one naked chick they got to shoot the thing with. Mm-hmm. It's so fast and so like so lazy that I'm like, no, like I can't even get this. It's obviously, it's not like, it doesn't feel like there was real enthusiasm behind it. It's not like a spirit of independent movie, no budget, but we're enthusiastic. It just felt like whatever. What do they always do in these? Well, they always say he's coming to kill us. It's the clown. I know it. And it's like, based on what? Based on one time somebody mentioned a clown at the beginning. Now you find a body and everybody's like, it's the clown. He's coming to kill us. It's like, what are you talking about?
But were they right?
There's one point they weren't wrong.
Oh,
They weren't
okay.
wrong.
It really was the clown.
There's one point where they're gonna leave, and they're walking down this trail, and it cuts to this angle where it's like just like this stick sticking out, and one of the girls, like, she's walking and she literally just like bumps her foot on it, and then it cuts to another angle and she falls over, and they run over and they're like, I seen what happened. It's not sprained. That didn't even break skin. And
it's not even abrasion.
I can't explain how bad it is. The killer is not intimidating. Like, he's got like a kind of a stereotypical goofy clown mask, but he's not intimidating because they've got like him in overalls. It's kind of the Michael Myers, Jason, like later years Jason overall type thing they're going for. But the person who they have in there does not fill out the overalls. They look, they're obviously very small, and the overalls are way oversized. So like it does not have a very impressive like stature or profile. And the first time that the group sees the killer, they're literally like, we have to escape. Oh, she hurt her ankle. Keep walking for half a second. And then like you could tell it's some skinny person runs out in this outfit from down the trail, like around a tree, just runs out. It's broad daylight, just runs out at him. One dude punches him in the face. And then he like the killer falls over and then runs off. And then like by the end of it, the killer gets punched in the face like 6 times. And every time somebody dies, it's like there's no reason for it. It's because they just decided to stop moving and go like this. And then it's like kill scene.
They're probably like, we punched this guy so many times, I deserve it.
Right. I mean, the killer gets, even though most of people die because it's a slasher movie, the killer gets the crap beat out of him constantly. Like, not a good killer. I don't buy that. I don't buy that they would overpower anybody. I'm so on the fence about showing a clip. I just don't know. Yeah, I could show a little clip. I mean, listen, if somebody's got the whole thing uploaded to YouTube, I think we're fine.
Nobody's really policing that copyright.
No. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll show a little.
It'll be the first time we ever got kicked for something like Camp Blood.
I think I'm more fascinated. Let's see. Oh, Dana said, no, I thought about that too. Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. I know it's a stretch for clown horror, but good nonetheless. I mean, when he kills those dudes on the train or the subway or whatever, he's like, the clown thing is the big motif because it's the Joker. So I think that would have counted. It's not necessarily horror, but it's on the fence enough.
Yeah, but we've seen it.
Psychological thriller. So
yeah, but that's the problem. See, when it's good, we see it, and we're trying to do stuff we haven't seen. So
yeah, like everything that's good, we're not talking about.
Right. You come here for the like bottom drawer, the junk drawer of movies. Okay.
So, like they all float down here. None of our stuff floats. It just sinks like a lead turd.
This fight that ensues is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
No.
I've got to find. Okay.
Wait for it.
Okay. We can keep talking for a moment.
Okay.
Oh,
that's the one decent makeup job.
Wait, what is that? Is that just some rocks and they put some? What is it supposed to be?
There was somebody burned. There it was. See?
Oh, there it was. There it was. Like, oh God, man!
I can't walk.
She vibrated that whole thing with her foot.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. There was a little force there.
Like, it was clear.
But that's a prime example. It's like, as soon as this guy walks over and kneels down, she sprained it. And it's like, okay. It's just so quick. Here we go. Here's like the big first confrontation.
How many people does it take to carry her? Oh my God, this guy is a killer. Wow, that really didn't take much. That didn't take anything.
No. And then he's like, oh, okay, never mind.
I have a knife, but
Yeah.
you punch hard.
He's like, no, he has a knife. He has a freaking machete.
She's
And he's like, oh, no.
Don't do it. Don't do it. He has a really big knife.
Okay, this would have been good if we were there to like
Yeah.
commentary behind it.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been
That
totally
is-
different
okay.
story.
I will say that's definitely my and I knew it as soon as I started. I was like, this is not the kind of movie you watch by yourself.
No.
You watch this with people.
Mhm.
Now it only takes one person.
And this fight scene is amazing. It goes on
Whoa!
so long.
I wonder what will happen.
It goes on so long. And most of the time he punches the guy in the face over and over again. It's like, dude, you've got a machete. What are you doing? Okay, I'll stop showing this.
Oh my goodness.
I appreciate that it is. I gave it half a star on Letterboxd. It's not good. I'm surprised
Someone
I've had this
tried.
much to say about
Someone tried. I think it was the guy in the clown suit.
Yeah.
it. And it does like
because that's all he had was the ability to really, really go for it.
and it does like this twist ending where is simultaneously like almost interesting, but super cliche, and then in the end doesn't make any sense. Of course.
Mhm.
Which
Must
is
have made
not
a little
on-
sense if they made 7 movies.
It almost seemed like they were doing Wizard of Oz at the end. Because the actors that died show up, but then it's like, oh no, they're not doing that. But why are they? Is this literally like the 5 people you had for this production? Okay, weird. Paul says, cringe TV, I'm in love. Dude, check
You're
them
welcome.
out.
Yeah.
The same guy, the guy that wrote and directed that wrote. And that's maybe the difference.
Oh man, I could taste the salt in my mouth. Like rote.
Dana said the killer in Scream got his butt kicked through the whole movie also. That's true.
But
That's
spoilers, that was
true.
actually 2 guys. So.
Yeah.
But Scream, first off, is kind of a satire. And second off, was before this. Scream, this happens in a world that exists post, with Scream already there. And it's still just this bad.
Yeah.
They stole
this
that
is
trope.
Oh, this isn't even old.
No, it's 1999. It's come out in 2000.
Oh,
Mine's
Right.
old.
I mean, it's old now, but it's
right.
it came out 20 years after slashers became huge to begin with. So it had 20 years. Like,
To get better.
Paul says, I've seen 3 through 7. Yep, because that's what's on Tubi TV. 1, 2, and there's actually an alternate third. There's the one guy wrote and directed the first 3. One Camp Blood 1, 2, and the third one has a different title. It's kind of an unofficial sequel at this point because then it was handed off to another guy, and he started with 3, did 3, 2 or 3. I looked way too far into the series, but somehow it still keeps going. I think the most recent one came out like 2 years ago, so like it's still going. They pumped 3 out in 1 year.
Yeah, this has got to be like, this is all just best of the worst territory, you know?
Definitely. Savannah says I'm not going to watch it.
That's fair.
That's fair.
That reminds me,
Savannah.
we've spent too much time on this
I was gonna say we actually spent way more time than you ever intended on this.
because I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. I don't recommend it. I like that it exists. I like that series exists. Almost curious enough to watch another. Probably won't. Who knows?
No, it's not.
All right. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I am going to pick up after you, if you don't mind, Jesse,
No, that's fine.
because mine also sucked a bit, but was probably better. And the only reason I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to tell you what I watched first. I watched Clownhouse from 1989, directed by Victor Silva, and it's starring Nathan Forrest Winters, Brian McHugh, and Sam Rockwell. Sam Rockwell is the only reason this movie wasn't total trash. I'm going to say it right now. He was a teenager, and he carried 2/3 of the movie. And he was a horrible character, too. He was an annoying older brother, because the movie, follows three brothers home alone in October sometime, the night after the Halloween circus, which should be a thing in every town. But it's not.
The Halloween circus?
Yes.
That sounds pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Sam Rockwell is the older brother. There's a middle brother who is kind of a nerd and is, the one who stands up to him and is, from what I understand, the favorite child anyway. And then there's a younger brother who's scared of everything. And I also want to add, because I knew this before I watched the movie, so it tainted my viewing. So it's going to taint yours too. Victor Salva sexually abused one of the children on this show.
Oh.
So I watched the movie.
He was the director. He was the director.
Yeah.
Of the movie.
Yeah. So first 10, maybe not even 10 minutes of the show, the youngest child ends up like butt naked. And I'm like, oh, and that's really all just because I know this. I'm sure if I didn't, it probably wouldn't affect the movie, but it did. It affected me and it made it really sad to me. But then so these boys are home alone for this night because I forget what their dad does, but he's like an out of town. He's probably a traveling salesman. And the mother is working at wherever she works. I think she might be a nurse or something, stereotypical. And on their way to go to the circus, there's like all these cop cars go flying by and they chase them for a second, but then they stop and they're like, oh, they're heading toward the nut house, So there's, an extra trope. And they don't realize this, but you hear later on the radio or something that, some people were upset they weren't allowed to go to the circus and killed some guards and escaped from the nut house. The main kid, the youngest, yes, he's the main kid, even though he barely talks, but the youngest kid is kind of the main character of the movie, and he has a fear of clowns. In the beginning, when you see him naked, it's because he peed the bed because he had a dream about a scary clown, which is actually peeing the bed and he was too old to be for any of that, but peeing the bed to an old age is a sign of a serial killer, but let's not worry about that right now.
That's for a sequel that will never happen.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway, so they go there. They go to the circus. The youngest one gets his palm read, and the palm reader, of course, is like, "You're gonna die young" or something. Like there's something on your lifeline, a scar or something. So it could be bad, and it scares him. And his brothers get all mad, and they take him away and go watch the clowns. Then he freaks out about the clowns because he's already scared about clowns, and then they try to bring him up to I don't know, be in their skit or something. And he freaks out and runs away, and apparently the whole town is laughing at him. So they go home, and they're in their huge, really nice house. I wish I could have that house. It's super awesome. It's got it looks like a castle almost. It's got towers and stuff. But anyway, so they're in there, and the escaped lunatics from the nut house kill some clowns at the circus and steal their clothes and dress themselves up like clowns. And one of them has this weird, he watched a clown, whatever you call it. He made an animal out of a balloon. He made a balloon animal, and he's obsessed with that. And you can tell his signature through the movie is twisting people's necks to try and get them to balloon up. I don't know, to be a balloon in him. It's dumb, but so Sam Rockwell spends the movie. That's the youngest brother. Oh wait, there you go. That's the youngest brother. He barely talks through the whole thing, but he's supposed to be the main character, and all he does is really just cry. But that's okay. I understand that too, though, now in retrospect. So Sam Rockwell, the middle brother, and the youngest brother.
Since you mentioned Sam Rockwell, Dana said Sam Rockwell rocks.
He does rock. I love Sam Rockwell.
Does he rock well, though?
Yes, he does. Have you seen him dance? Come on.
And Savannah says he's her celebrity crush.
Yeah. Have you seen Moon, Savannah? If you have not, watch Moon. Okay.
Wow, that's 2 episodes in a row. Moon come up.
Oh, is it? Well, it's awesome, and it's got Sam Rockwell. It stars Sam Rockwell.
Yep.
And he dances because that's what he does. But actually, I think he might dance in this a little bit too. So yeah, that's the bad clown. Well, I mean, there's 3 bad clowns. But that's like the main bad clown, which actually he's kind of creepy, but that's because they do a lot of silhouettes, which with that hair makes it extra creepy for some reason.
Right.
Maybe because it's so sparse.
Right.
And then they do a lot of shots where it's like his eyeball peeking in, of somewhere. And that's kind of humorous too.
So is it, you said it wasn't good, but it was what is it okay? Is it a good movie?
It's not the worst that I've ever seen. It's almost decent, but not quite. But like I said, Sam Rockwell is fantastic. Sam Rockwell is a fantastic actor. At that age, he was a fantastic actor, and he made the first 2/3 of the movie interesting to me, even though he was a bad character, even though he was like the bad word older brother, making fun of his little brother, making fun of both of his little brothers the whole time, and he dressed like at one point he dressed like a clown to try and scare him because he's just a penis,
Total aside, Savannah, because we mentioned Moon, Savannah said David Bowie's kid Duncan Jones is the director of Moon, and I interpret that as Duncan Jones is, or David Bowie is Duncan Jones's dad. Duncan Jones is great. I was tracking him for a while. I'm not sure what he's done recently, but wow, I didn't know he came from David Bowie.
Neither did I, but that makes everything even cooler. So yeah, it was a bad movie. But again, my opinion of it was tainted from the beginning by the stuff with the director.
So, okay, to touch on that real quick, because this was when you come across this, I was like, oh, that's that movie. So I was aware of this movie because of the stuff with the director, because the director, what's something Salva, what'd you say?
Let me see. It is Victor Salva.
Yeah, he went to jail for, I'm not sure how much I can say without YouTube getting upset, but like child photos and material that is illegal, as well as molesting the youngest actor in this movie, which is very upsetting. However, he was only out of the movie industry. He went and he got like, I don't know, he went to jail for not as long as you would expect. 5 years later, he's making another movie. He's made several. He made Powder. He made Jeepers Creepers, which is actually a good movie, but he also made Jeepers Creepers 2, which is a crap movie.
And Jeepers Creepers 3, which is even crappier.
So I'm amazed that this could go down, and then 5 years later, he's making high-profile movies again.
Yeah,
That's insane.
But then again, this is all even the Jeepers Creepers, like the Me Too movement, which I think has made a big impact.
I mean, it was initially pre-internet, but it's like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Well, if it was as widely known in the past, I think maybe he wouldn't have made Powder and Jeepers Creepers, which Powder wasn't a bad movie either, but it was still weird. And yeah, so that's the movie. Although I might say it does have some pretty lame kills, as far as the clowns go, because there's 3 of them. There's 3 evil clowns or whatever, and one of them like falls down the stairs, and that's it. He's done. I'm like, I mean, in real life that'll kill somebody, but this is a scary movie.
This is a movie.
I mean, you can't put real life deaths in scary movies.
What kind of right?
Falling down the stairs, so that that one of them dies from that, and the other one I can't remember. There is the last one, the main one does do the you think he's dead and then he jumps up like 3 times, but the main one is the only one that does that. The other 2 like stay dead, and they're really lame deaths like that, like falling down the stairs, or like they pushed him into a bookcase that fell on top of him.
So what's the deal? Are they just like, oh, they escape? They're from like a nut house?
Yes, they escaped from an insane asylum to go to the circus. which was over. And one of the creepiest things in the movie because of the director thing. They had the clowns in there, and there was like movement outside the tent, and they're like, "What's that?" And one of them was like, "I bet it's just some kids looking to get a peek." And one of the other clowns stands up and grabs his junk, and he's like, "I'll give them something to look at." And I'm like, "Oh God, don't."
Yeah, when you go into the movie knowing that a bit of backstory,
yeah, it makes it all
anything could, yeah, but that doesn't even seem like anything. That seems egregious. So yeah. Interesting pick.
Yeah, so they don't die. One thing I will give it though, in the beginning of the movie, they have a dummy that hangs in their tree because it's Halloween. This is October. It's like a week and a half till Halloween. They mentioned sometime in the movie, and their mom was like, "Take down that thing. It's gross, and I don't want it in the yard. It's not even Halloween for another like week and a half." And then twice in the movie, they make you think that that's one of the characters hanging out in the yard. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But apparently a lot of people in this movie like to strip people and put their clothes on inanimate objects because that's the only way that could happen.
Okay.
That's my review. I'm done.
Do you recommend it?
No. I mean, if you want to see a teenage Sam Rockwell, watch it. But it has nothing to offer besides that.
I like that.
All right. That
sounds
like a sound review. If I saw that on Amazon, I would know whether or not to buy it or not.
Jesse, what you got?
All right. So mine is, it's really off the beaten path, but it's not a time commitment like an actual movie.
Right.
So I went with probably the most milquetoast entry in our endeavors tonight, and that is an episode of Supernatural. But we're going back. We're going way back because, ladies and gentlemen, Supernatural's been on for 15 years.
I can't believe it. I would have never.
Crazy.
I don't think I've ever watched it. No offense to the show,
Right,
or its fans, but I don't think I've ever watched it, and I definitely would not have expected it to go for 15 years.
right. And so, in 15 years, you're gonna have some surprises. And actually, this clown episode comes from season 2. It's the second episode of the season. So like they just came off of their big season finale cliffhanger thing, and then the resolution, which happened on the first episode. So the season opener. And then they thought, let's do a clown episode. I mean, it's a risky choice in your second year, but here we go. And so this one kind of stuck out in my mind because it's an interesting twist. I'm just going to straight up spoil this episode for y'all because the interesting twist is the spoiler, really, kind of. I won't tell you who it is, but like, okay, so the way that this episode breaks down, I won't get into all the Winchesterisms. You got to watch the show for that. But basically, it's about two brothers who hunt monsters. Boom, you got the whole premise of 15 years. Two brothers hunt monsters, and in this episode, they just got, like, their father was just killed, so like they're reeling, and so they need something to hunt. So killer clowns, baby. That's what's going to happen. So they get some intel about these murders that happen. That's usually how an episode starts, and then they have to hunt it. And so what they find out is that there's this girl. She went to a carnival, and she's really into clowns. So already not believable. But like, she loves clowns. Her dad is creeped out by clowns, and her mom doesn't care. She's kind of bemused by the whole thing. Like, it's funny that the dad is creeped out, and basically the daughter loves clowns. So whatever, we'll go with this. And so she's watching the clowns, and then she sees this guy that you see on the screen right here. He's off to the side, and she's like, "Look, Mom, it's another clown." But when the parents turn, look, he's not there. Only she can see this guy. He looks really like somebody you would want to have as a friend.
Yeah, he does.
Doesn't he? So I mean, they did a pretty good job of making a creepy clown. I'm not convinced that any kid would be fooled into thinking that this is like an inviting clown. Anyways,
speaking of vulgar, he is creepy in that sad sack clown kind of way.
Yeah, he's pulling off of that. He's got a smile, but he does not look happy at all. So they leave this carnival, and so the little girl is like seeing this clown on the side of the road at night, mind you, and they're like, "Look, Mom, it's a clown!" And Mom turns and looks again, and she's like, "You missed it," because of course the clown's not there when they turn, But then they get home, and in the middle of the night, this little girl gets up, sees the clown outside, is like, "Oh, it's my friend the clown," and opens the door and lets them into the house. Off-screen kill. Like that's it. Like they invite this the kiddo invites him into the house, kills him, and like rip to shreds kind of kill. And so that's kind of the crux of this killer clown tears them to shreds kind of thing. And the kids always let them in, and it all seems to be coming from the same carnival. So the Winchesters go and investigate. They find out that this happened once before, like 30 years ago, like in the 80s or something like that. It's like, oh, it's happened once before, kind of thing. And so it
always happens. Well, how does a thing happen the first time? Because it always happens once before.
This happened once long ago, 30 whole years ago.
30 years to the day.
To the day.
Someday I want to make a scary movie, and I'm going to be like, every 3 years and 2 months and 7.5 days.
Some like arbitrary but
super
specific.
Odd.
Yeah. And somebody's like, "Was that what? So is that today?" No.
I mean, like that's horror movie logic in a nutshell right there. You don't have to have any motivation or premise. All you have to do is be like, every 32.5 years, give or take a day.
I want to derail you for half a second to hit some of these comments because first off, Savannah says I should watch Supernatural. And I said, I'll give it a try someday. And she says, I know the fans probably annoy you, but trust me, you'll dig it. Supernatural fans don't really annoy me. They're not as prevalent as other. I'm a Buffy fan. Supernatural fans ain't got junk on annoyingness when it comes to fandoms compared to a Buffy fan.
Honestly, I think that Buffy and Supernatural mix well.
There's a lot of overlap there, I think. Yeah. And oddly enough, Supernatural and Sherlock, I feel like those fandoms got lumped, or like those things got.
What they did was it was always this thing, Super Who-lock or whatever.
That's right. That's
Supernatural, Sherlock, and Doctor Who for whatever reason.
Weird. Yeah. And then Dana had asked, did Buffy ever have a clown episode?
I'm sure they did.
I'm sure they did. They had to, right? They were on for 8 years.
The main one that I could find, they might have had a clown later, because I thought there was one later where it's the one with the like kids when they go into a coma or something in the hospital, but that might not have been a clown. But there's an early episode, Nightmares or something about nightmares, where the Scooby Gang gets trapped in like nightmares, and Xander's fear is clown. They play it as a joke.
Yeah,
but that is the only one that I can think of and that I can find where there is an evil clown in Buffy. It's Xander's fear represented when they're all in like nightmare land.
Well, and tying it to this episode, like they don't really play off of it much, but that supposedly Sam's fear is clowns, and Dean is constantly like giving him a hard time about it. But Dean's actual fear is of flying, so it's like
it's so funny. Even when
forth.
Clowns are so clowny that even when they do horror clowns, they still can't help but make a joke of it. It's like, oh, clowns, evil clowns, that's what's scary, but then they still do the evil clown. So
right,
they can't even get respect in their own like horror genre.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Continue.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you still had like, because there's been some more comments like Matty D.
Oh,
Matty
yeah.
D's in the chats, and he says that Buffy is better. Shots fired. Supernatural crew.
You guys are all Buffy people, and I was fine with the Buffy movie. I mean, I don't need to sit. Okay, Sarah Michelle Gellar is nothing to me compared to Christy Swanson. Christy Swanson was in Flowers in the Attic. Okay, she is by far the better Buffy.
I will say between Buffy Clown and Supernatural Clown, Supernatural Clown's got it. That is such a
it's pretty creepy.
But this is also like early cheap one-off thing.
Yeah, but to be fair, that guy I think might be creepy even without the clown suit and the makeup. Just standing there as a regular guy, he would probably be creepy.
Yeah, that's probably true.
True.
And this is Xander. I mean, this is Xander's imagination. So there you go. Okay, so back to the Winchesters, and I'll speed it along because you don't need to know the whole thing, but like I had to tie in that whole thing that this has happened before, once before. so that all happens in I think like two or three different kills, same MO every time. Little girl has to let him in, or little boy in one case has to let him into the house. So almost like vampire rules. And so you're like, what's up with this? They do catch it happening, because how are you going to catch a clown that seems to be tied to the circus? You join to the circus, boys and girls. You join the circus. So they do that. And so they witness it kind of firsthand happening. Like, wait, this little girl just saw a clown that isn't there. So they stake out the house kind of thing. And so they get in there, and then they like shoot the clown with like rock salt, and rock salt dissolves ghosts. They've been operating under the assumption that this has been a ghost the entire time. But if it was a ghost, it would have just disappeared when they hit it with rock salt. So it's not a ghost. Wah, wah, wah. So what is this thing? It got hit with a shotgun blast. So it's not like a human. That's just creepy. It's not a ghost, not a ghost clown. What is it? So they do some research, and this is the cool part for me, because like, what do you usually expect the clown to be? It's either like a creepy killer, like human person. It's a human person.
I mean,
rather than keep rolling with it, I just thought I'd really draw attention.
It's a clown person. They're similar, slightly different.
Similar, but not the same. Yeah,
not quite the same as just a human person.
So, what was cool about this clown? Here's the spoiler. It's not a clown, actually. It's a rock Sasha, which I did not see coming. So for folks who played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons back in the day, it's like a ancient Hindu creature that's often takes the form of like a tiger person with a fez. And but like they don't go into any of that. But like in the monster manual, if you play D&D, you look it up in the monster manual, it's like a tiger person with a fez that's super duper evil. But the ground rules for a rock Sasha is that it can turn invisible on will. It can shapeshift. So apparently it shapeshifts into a clown, and it can only enter your home if it's been invited, and it has to feed, get this, at least every 20 to 30 years. And so that's the thing. It was basically doing a vampire thing, but it didn't have to like drink your blood as often as a vampire. So
could it possibly have its second like incarnation or whatever as a giant spider?
I could do. Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Was it a rock Sasha all along?
Maybe. I mean, I'm just saying.
I don't think that Pennywise ever asked for consent, though.
But he never went to anybody's house. He always pulled them down.
That's true. It's true. They always floated down here, not in there.
Right.
Oh my god, these comments are getting bizarre. Well, okay, so Matt had said when you were talking about hitting the clown with a shotgun, hit it with a rubber chicken or a cream pie. That's how you deal with a clown.
That's probably what you do. Yeah.
And Paul said clowns are people too. To which Matt then said, yes, clowns are people too, but they are part of the ginger army, so watch out.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. You better watch out.
Life
I
has,
steal souls. Clowns steal souls. It's a thing.
life has ruined me. I can't even read these comments without thinking dirtier thoughts than the thoughts that they're even commenting.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, what's wrong with me? You people have made me ashamed of myself with your comments.
She would have been fine with herself until you started talking.
Yeah. And then I'm like, cream pie. What? You know, whatever.
Oh, no.
Paul says not to be a killjoy, but we all forgot the obvious clown franchise. And you're referencing Killjoy. I don't think that's obvious to most people. Killjoy, I don't think that's as... That was another one I'd come across. I don't think that's as prevalent as maybe you think it is.
Killjoy?
Yeah.
That's a bad name. I'll tell you that.
It's a real killjoy.
It's a fair name for a clown.
No, it's
murderous clown thing.
No, it's not.
It's a little on the nose.
Yeah, I agree with. Even the part, it is. But
Was
Bozo the Clown national? It must have been.
Yeah, I think so.
Maddie D knows Bozo. Okay.
Everyone knows Bozo. Everybody remembers Bozo.
I think Bozo had its own cartoon even.
Okay.
Did he?
Okay.
I don't know. I just
So.
remember. I remember the show.
All right. Maybe there was one good clown. Bozo was all right.
That's not really true though. You know why?
Why?
They did a study where they researched with children and brought in like clowns and whatever. 100% of the children were scared of the clowns. 100%. There's like none of the children weren't terrified when a clown came in.
I honestly don't understand how the clowns are a thing and how people think, oh, it's a joy thing. Even like friendly looking clowns, it's a horror fest. You can't put on that kind of makeup and not have it look weird. It's a strange thing to me, and I don't understand the origins of them.
One of the few profound statements from the movie I watched was the younger child explaining why he was afraid of clowns. And he's like, because it's fake. Because they put on this makeup and then they pretend that that's them and they hide who they really are. And that's who you need to be afraid of. And I'm like, that's actually a really good statement right there. But, you know, generally most clowns I would say you wouldn't have to say that for. Most clowns are really just weird guys, probably that like to get drunk and are having fun and putting on makeup and playing, and then they go get trash with their friends. And I only say that because I actually know a lot of guys who are clowns, and that's what they all do. But in general, I would say, yeah, they're not necessarily trying to hide their evil selves, but that is a fantastic statement to make if you're scared of clowns.
What was the serial killer who dressed up as Pogo?
John Wayne Gacy.
Okay. I didn't even think about that, but I bet there's more than a few John Wayne Gacy movies that we could.
Yeah, there's like at least 3 documentaries because I looked at them, but I was like, nah.
That's too
Too
real. I'll watch the one with the child molester director.
Oh.
And wait, you know, Gacy's like my least favorite serial killer. Of like serial killers, if I was gonna go serial killer, which is about clowns, not serial killers, but if I was gonna go serial killer, it certainly wouldn't be Gacy.
See, even in the real life world of serial killers, the clowns get no respect.
That's true.
They're like the Rodney
Dangerfield of killers.
Because you know what? Do you know how many more jokes I can crack about Dahmer than I can about Gacy?
They get no respect. I'm killing it in here. I'm losing to a rug.
All right.
Can I respond real quick to a comment?
Please.
Paul, if you dyed all your stuff a little brighter red and then got really pale, you would be a great clown.
Yeah, he said, yeah, Melanie, so you're saying I'd make a great clown?
Yes.
But
Paul
asked, can we do serial killers next week?
No,
just because we actually have one predetermined. I'm sorry.
because Melanie picked it already. Melanie's been whining about it, and they're going to go ahead and let Melanie have what she wants.
Melanie talks about herself in the third person now. Melanie's been whining about it. We need to shut her up.
Yeah.
No, Melanie, we'll go ahead and say now then, since we're kind of at the end of the segment. Children.
Yep.
The next step from clowns, children, creepy kids. So horror movie or horror show or whatever, comic, I'll throw that out there. Anything, comic book, creepy kids.
Yes. I was thinking Children of the Corn, but talking about it with Randall at one point, we will accept things like The Ring. That, you know, that is a creepy kid. Yeah.
Post Sixth Sense, the creepy kid became its own like new trope in horror where they're not the villain, but there's during the 2000s there was always a creep. If it was a horror movie, there was a creepy kid.
Yeah,
somebody had a creepy kid.
Yeah,
and they didn't. I mean, I don't know what their purpose was other than just be a creepy kid. But like The Ring, other than the Ring girl, had a creepy kid.
There were others, and creepy kids. Like I said, Children of the Corn, Village of the Damned, or Children of the Damned, whatever. You know, just underage people that are murderers and are scary.
Matt says there isn't enough milk to do serial killers. That's not even good.
Serial killer. I'm gonna give it up for that. I'm gonna do a slow clap.
Okay. I will join, and that is only because of Sandman, one of the best comics I've ever read. Sandman, not the Marvel, the DC,
right?
Because they had a serial killer convention, and they really called it the serial convention, but it was for serial killers. And I appreciate the funny irony there.
Maddie D says Black Eyed Kids comic. Black Eyed Children or Black Eyed Kids. That's a thing I keep hearing about, and I'm not really that familiar with it.
I have not heard of that, and that is extremely disturbing to me. Black Eyed Kids. That should not be a thing. That should be a thing.
That comes up every couple of years. I hear something about it. Maybe I'll look into it. What that is.
Oh, wait. I think I know. Is that an internet thing where like there's just some creepy kids whose eyes are completely black that like you see hanging out outside your house or something like that? Because I don't know that I believe in creepypasta as far as movies go. Like, I don't know that I would consider them the same category. A creepypasta is not a creepy movie. Would anyone agree?
Are you saying they don't make for good creepy movies?
No. I'm just saying.
Seen a good one.
Okay, no, I guess they have made a movie about creepypasta, but
made a couple, yeah.
Like Slenderman has his own movie or something.
Slenderman is the only one I could think of. I didn't know there was another. But creepypasta's crap. Creepypasta is like, I told a scary story and it got popular, and now we're gonna pretend like it's a thing to actually be scared of. I'm sorry. But then again, I guess maybe isn't that what all of history is?
I say creepypasta is like niche urban legends.
Yeah.
I mean creepypasta. They're not necessarily even. It's just campfire stories in the internet age. But the problem is, like the internet itself, as collectively as a whole, is freaking weird and kind of ridiculous and super nerdy. So there's a lot of creepypasta that's weird and ridiculous and nerdy and not very good.
I know, man. My niece was telling me about some stuff, and I was like, "That's a creepypasta," because that makes absolutely no sense. That's like an inanimate object becoming a person and then trying to exact revenge on people for things they didn't even realize they were doing wrong. And I don't believe it.
Our audience is so showing their age. Well, I mean, we all know Paul's 60. Paul says, "What is creepypasta? Moldy spaghetti?"
You guys are old.
Axton doesn't know what it is either. So, I mean, y'all are in good company. If you're above a certain age, you probably don't know what this is. But
yeah, unless you're savvy like us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surrounded by children all the time, so savvy is what I'd call it.
We're hip. We're hip. We're with it. We're with the now 30-year-old kids.
I asked what heat meant, and I found out. So
I know how to search things up on UrbanDictionary.com.
I mean, it's exactly what I said. It's what
I'm sorry, I'm reading Maddie D's comment.
Was it really that funny?
Stephen King's new book is about a killer lamp. A killer lamp, really? Oh my goodness.
No,
I believe it. I believe it.
No.
Oh.
If anything, no, I'm pretty sure that's a Family Guy joke. It shouldn't get that much applause. So creepypasta, it's like I said, it's internet horror stories.
Yeah.
It comes from copypasta, which is internet slang. Let me get the creepypasta.fandom.com definition for you. So yeah, copypasta is internet slang for a internet slang term for a block of text that gets copied and pasted over and over again from website to website. So creepypasta is the same, because on the internet, how you retell a story is you copy and paste it. But so creepypasta.
The most famous example would be Slenderman. Slenderman is a creepypasta.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest, like one of the biggest ones.
Some of them are... Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Some of them are kind of creepy. My niece tells me about creepypasta that she's afraid of, and it's like there's these things that come out of the shadows, and I'm like, yeah, no, don't tell me about that, because that is creepy, and I know it's not real, but that scares me. So let's pretend that's not.
Well, okay, and some of them they're just horror stories, so some of them are legitimately creepy, and since it's the internet, they usually can get some cool creepy images to attach to it. Yeah. And then you get stuff like Herobrine, which is about how Notch's dead brother is not a character but an entity in Minecraft, or that one of the old ones is so stupid is the haunted copy of Majora's Mask Nintendo game. It's like, that's not scary. That's stupid. And that's why I think we have a certain opinion of creepypasta.
Yeah. It does bad things too. It does bad things though.
Matt D says, "Oh, I'm not gonna say it because it's gonna set off my Google Home thing." Hey, blah, 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 what's creepypasta? Google. You're too old for me to mansplain it to you. Jesse hit the comments in there. Don't you assume Google's gender? My Google is a female.
There you go. See,
I think she's still Aussie too. I got the.
My Google is ambidextrous. They'll be whatever I tell them to be.
Should we do some news? By the way, let's wrap up this clown thing. It's such a weird sub genre of horror, and it's not even like. I think we have a pretty good example here, because oftentimes it's supernatural, but like literally supernatural. Sometimes it's supernatural. Mine was a obvious like Friday the 13th camp slasher type, and Melanie's was kind of like the escape nut house slasher, Halloween themed, whatever. Right. Yeah, like the
Can I real quick respond to can't they just be called creepy internet horror stories? This has nothing to do with pasta, but it's stories that are stretched like pasta.
Oh,
well, the pasta comes from copy paste, and so it's creepy pasta. That's what the internet does. It's stupid because that's what the internet is.
I like my stretched version better, but okay.
Matt D, mine is a British lady talking about his Google. Yeah, I think I had British for a while.
I tried to make mine Australian and it wouldn't let me, and I was very upset because I used to have an Australian man on my GPS, and I loved when he would tell me that I needed to turn. He'd be like, "Mate, you need to take a left," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, thanks, sir." Now,
I had to do some trickery initially. I think they made it easier to get a foreign accent on mine. I had to basically tell Google on my phone that I'm in a different country or something, and that's how I got it. But I think you can actually select some of them now.
Yeah,
I have to do that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the news. God, we spent an hour and 14 on clowns.
Who knew?
See, like I said,
How?
baby, you need to stop saying that we need to keep it short, because you know what happens?
We don't know what that means. We don't know what that means. Creepypasta, we got that figured out, but keep it short. No.
No, we're like the creepy like clown people. We're like, oh, we're supposed to stay here and be happy. You just said something. Now we're gonna have.
I'm gonna put a jumper on and carry around a really heavy machete.
Yep.
So basically, the big Netflix news of the weekend was that Cobra Kai took the #1 slot worldwide.
Heck yeah, it did. Like quick as
pretty fast. I mean, like boom, like
Yeah.
before the day was over, it was #1 in a lot of countries, and USA it hit pretty fast. The news story that I chose for this, I mean, that's the main thing, is that it hit #1 really quickly, because it was an untested commodity. Like a lot of people that have watched the show and loved the show for years thought it would do well. But you know, you never know. You never know what's going to hit on Netflix. But it did. It hit well. And so now one of the reasons that they wanted to jump to Netflix is that option to potentially even spin it off into other series. And so now they're already like kind of throwing that out there. Nothing's confirmed, but one of the showrunners, I believe it's oh, I should know this right off the top of my head, but I don't. It's Schlossberg, Heald, and Hurwitz. And Hurwitz is the one that's the most active on Twitter and oftentimes kind of spills the most information, at least online. Said that that he's got at least 5 good ideas for a spinoff. And so he says that it's hard for me to give you an exact answer to this being, like what would we spin off? But what I can say is that we have a list of at least 5 different scenarios that we would pursue, that we could consider. Now, some of them are untraditional, but some of them are unlike any kind of spin-off you've ever seen before. But every time we're writing episodes of the show, we're falling in love with the characters that we're creating and examining characters from the past. So, I mean, that leaves it wide open. It could be characters that were introduced in the Cobra Kai series, or it could be characters that, for whatever reason, you didn't actually tie into the show from Karate Kid or, any of the Karate Kid movies.
Right.
So like Julie from the next Karate Kid. I don't know that anybody's clamoring for that.
I am. I want to see it.
A Cobra Kai spinoff of that could be fun. We're like, what happened there?
My question about a lot of it the whole time really has been, do they realize how much better they would have done if they weren't on YouTube? And why?
I think they know now.
Well, yeah, I just honestly, I never really understood why they chose to open or to start on the Hulu platform, because there's so many people, including myself and Randall, that were like, I'm not going to watch that because it's on Hulu and I have to pay for it.
YouTube,
if it was free, what did I say? Hulu?
Yeah, no, Hulu would have been better.
Hulu would have been better.
I don't know that they chose it. I think
no, they didn't.
When you're producing a show, you don't get to choose so much. I mean, if you get an offer, you can turn it down, but there's a lot of times where you're just like, you want this? No, okay. You want this? No.
They were trying to woo Netflix right off the bat, but for whatever reason, YouTube was trying to do this thing, and they were really passionate about it, and they were willing to give it a shot. So
yeah,
that's where it started.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I understand that. My whole thing is just that I've always said I would watch Cobra Kai, but I'm not going to pay for YouTube, Right. And I mean, I only watched 1 episode, but I saw it on Netflix, and I was like, oh yeah, Cobra Kai, I'm gonna watch that. And even though I only watched 1, that's I watched 1, and then I watched a clown movie, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna be done for a little bit.
That's fair. I feel like that's fair. And Netflix has kind of a storied tradition of this, where they take a show like Lucifer that was which is funny because Cobra Kai just kicked Lucifer out of the #1 spot, but Lucifer was canceled somewhere, and then Netflix got it. Same thing with Arrested Development. Arrested Development was canceled, then brought back to life by Netflix. So Netflix does this all the time.
They do. One of the Moody Murder Detective shows I watched, I can't remember what it was. but it was one of the American remakes of a foreign version. But it was a AMC show or something, and that got canceled after 2 seasons. And then Netflix picked it up for a 3rd season. And I think they, in a way, did that with Better Call Saul, to where it wasn't outright canceled, but AMC was doing it, and then I don't know if they were on the edge of canceling it or whatever, but Netflix came in and it became like a joint thing, to where Netflix helped produce it, and but it still got shown on both Netflix and weird. But anyway, you're right. They do that a lot.
Yeah, real quick, I want to say Netflix. We need a community movie, and
right.
right. And then there was one other show. I can't remember what it was. There's another show you might want to look into.
Speaking of shows that probably wish they'd have went to Netflix.
Yep. But,
God, that would have been so much better than whatever the Yahoo.
Yeah, like
Yahoo
that was good. That was really going to take off.
Man.
Hey, but that completed the last season. Now we just need a movie.
Well, I mean, I think even YouTube knew. I mean, YouTube obviously knew what a hit Cobra Kai was. I think they had that one hit, and then everything else failed. Yeah. So they're like,
they basically decided they were moving away from that entirely. And so Cobra Kai is like, look, before you do that, if you're not going to give us a season 4, let us shop this out to someone that might. And they were amicable for that. So
can I real quick jump into this thing that I don't know, but it's got so many words in it that I like, that it impresses me. Maddie D says, can they spin it off and tie it into the reboot with Jackie Chan, Billy Z fights Will Smith, annoying kid?
Yeah, I was gonna make a joke about the remake, the reboot, attempted reboot. That's so.
That
wrong
could be interesting, though. That really could be. I mean, I don't think they should ever do it ever, like ever. But like as a one-off, maybe as an Easter egg. Somebody.
That would be a spin-off of a spin-off tying into the reboot of the original franchise. It'd be such a mess.
Like you have just have Jaden Smith at the under 18 tournament. Is he young enough to pull off under 18?
I don't know.
He's getting old. That Jaden Smith. Anyways, like have him there and just have someone crane kick him in the face and then be done with it. Like that's the Easter egg. Yeah.
They even follow him for like half an episode, like make him some type of underdog, and then he just gets beat anyway. And
it's just Jackie Chan doing this face, just like
the meme.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. We got to keep this. I'm playing the Melanie role tonight.
You are.
What's next? No comment from Melanie? Okay. Oh, she's muted. She must be busy.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm back.
It's okay. Okay, you sound like you're going to say something.
No. I just got back from my cat, and it took a lot out of me. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. AMC head honcho reveals thoughts on Mulan going straight to Disney+. Also, this ties into a story that somehow we had missed. Disney Plus getting Mulan. It's notable that Mulan, Disney's just like, nah, stream it. We're going to streaming. Streaming. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning of this stream, but it's gonna be $30 until it hits Disney Plus, and it'll, if you got Disney Plus, you can watch it. That's not till when is it? Oh, where'd it go?
Almost December, right?
Yeah, it's not for a while. Okay, so it will still have a theatrical run in various other countries. November 2nd, it will be available to rent streaming for $30, and then it'll hit Disney Plus. I think you're right, December 4th. So it's notable because that's a big production for Disney. Like they put that's not no cheap one.
Right.
And
they're going to lose. I mean, they're going to lose money on that because usually you're taking a whole family to see that in the theater, and now a whole family can get that for $30.
I mean, that's why it's $30, but
yeah,
I think they will end up losing compared to if they just done a normal theatrical release.
It'll be the same as if there was a drive-in and you made your kids hide in the
right.
like they used to do to us. Yeah.
Well, years ago there was talk of like Microsoft or somebody had patented technology that would basically use like their Kinect or some type of device to use to see how many people were in the room watching a thing, and the movie industry was interested in that. And it's like, no.
Mhm.
But it's because that way they can be like, yeah, you can rent this movie day of release, and then they charge you per however many people are in there watching it.
Right. I remember them trying to do something kind of similar with games when they came out with Xbox One. Yeah, originally, but they were like, well, you can play it, but if there's like 4 of the people in the room, then you're gonna have to pay extra or something of that nature, for everybody to play on that game. And I was like, yeah, no, you can't do that.
Right. So, I mean, this is notable. Again, this is a story we had missed, but it's notable to me that Disney's just like, okay, well, we're just going to do it anyway. We're going to go streaming. But people are like, what's AMC think about this? Because not too long ago, they got a little spat with Universal, but when Universal released Trolls World Tour, for whatever reason, one of my favorite stories of the summer, because we keep going back to it, and was like, Universal movies are banned. Well, then they kissed and made up eventually. So people are like, hey, AMC, what do you think of this?
They're going to be our first movie back.
So apparently in a recent interview, the CEO, AMC Theaters CEO Adam Aron, had said about Disney going streaming with it, quote, just like AMC is under duress, Disney's under pressure too. And at some point, they've got to monetize their movie product, end quote. Much nicer. Much nicer. So I think he realized, like, yeah. Well, plus, okay, Universal's big. Disney owns everything. You don't take a crap on Disney. So basically, it's like, oh, it's Disney. You should have just been like, it's Disney. What do you want me to say? There's nothing I could say. Right. They own me.
Right, yeah.
They own my children.
Can I real quick respond to Eddie D?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, he says 2 things. First is, drive-in cost me $30 for my family of 4 to see New Mutants last week. Take a lesson
interesting.
From my parents, which I just mentioned. Lock your kids in the trunk until you get in, and then let them out after you paid. That'll save you a little bit of money. The second one is mosquitoes. That's why you got to go on a like slightly rainy night, and then you just keep the windows rolled up so there's just that little bit of breeze and the sound, and it's like there's no bugs. It's like a perfect environment.
But if it stops raining, then the bugs come out in full force, because then it gets all humid and nasty.
Or you turn the car on, pump up the AC, and be like, kids, go down and play at the playground if they have one at the front. That's the other option. So, and also interesting in this article further on, it says, this is from cinemablend.com, by the way. Adam Aron expects this kind of model will become the industry standard in the future, and suggested that Disney would adopt a similar model going forward. He gets it. That's what we've been saying. That's been my whole argument about like when he got so upset. And it's like, I get it. It's his livelihood. I'm like, well, he's going to be fine. He's the CEO of like the world's largest theater chain, but it's his business. So I get getting upset, but also you've got to recognize where the industry is going. And it's been going this way for a long time. He gets it.
And there's no coming back now. Like now that we've let this genie out of the bottle, it's there.
And, of all the things COVID has done, this is one of the least really concerning ones. But it's forced, COVID really forced the situation on them. It's picked up that timetable. It sped up that timetable quite a bit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got there eventually. We're just going to get there way faster now.
I think the same. I want to argue that the same has happened with healthcare. Not healthcare, excuse me. Childcare, education, whatever. I think that we were destined to go virtual anyway, and this has just sped up the process.
Right.
Well, since we're kind of on the topic anyway, let's continue talking about COVID for half a second.
Okay.
So the news that broke earlier today that or maybe it was yesterday, but I think it was today. The Batman production has halted on the Batman, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
The Batman, the movie.
The one with the sparkly vampire.
The sparkly emo vamp.
Yep.
Well, according to Vanity Fair, they say a source says that Robert Pattinson. Oh, and also that it was halted because there was a COVID case. And Vanity Fair claims that they heard Robert Pattinson is the one with COVID. So VanityFair.com says Robert Pattinson is said to have tested positive for the coronavirus, causing filming of the Batman to be halted just days after the superhero drama resumed work at studios outside of London. It's almost like this is a dangerous disease or something.
Weird. Who knew? You mean like the entire world?
Right.
Yeah.
There's not, I mean, that's and this is according to some source. So I don't know that this has been 100% confirmed.
They should have named it something scarier than COVID. They should have named it like Death Pox 4000. And then people maybe would have listened.
Genital twister, death pox, black plague.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Just get people real scared about it.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't like that?
You'll wear a mask now?
You're right.
You'll wear a mask now? We call it genital twister. You'll wear a mask.
Let's see. Maddie D said, this is touching back on the previous story. AMC should set up kiosks in Walgreens and sell popcorn and overpriced candy for people that decide to stay home, right next to the red boxes.
Yeah.
Red boxes are still a thing.
I mean,
red boxes, that's a thing that's really hung on longer than I expected, because
it's like gambling. You'd be like, I wonder if this disc will work when I get it home.
Right.
Yeah. But honestly, that's kind of how Netflix was in the beginning, in my opinion. I was like, oh, Redbox is just trying to be Netflix, only, more convenient or something.
Netflix, which literally sends it to your house.
Well, yeah, but then you have
to. No, I know.
Yeah. I don't have to wait for anything to get mailed to me. I can just be like, drop it now, biatch.
Nice. Self-censorship. I don't even have to necessarily bleep that. That's good. Thank you. Okay, yeah, there's not much more to that Batman story. Moving right along. Oh, here's one. Here's a fun one. It's not an important story at all, but I like it. Mike Flanagan's dream project is to adapt Stephen King's The Dark Tower. So Mike Flanagan, we talk about him all the time.
I love Mike Flanagan. He has a hard on for Stephen King, and I really wish he would move on. But Dark Tower, is a decent project
and still needs to be done well.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of okay. So he's filmed adaptations of 2 Stephen King stories, Gerald's Game and Dr. Sleep. He's also turned adaptations of other stories into Stephen King stories, i.e., Haunting of Hill House. Is that the name of it? Oh. It's very much felt like a Stephen King take on that story. He's obviously super influenced by and inspired by. Plus, he's I don't know if he wants to do other kinds of movies, but he's obviously likes doing horror movies. He's really good at it. Mm-hmm. And so it makes sense that Stephen King is talking about icons of horror. So I get it. The Dark Tower. Yeah. And that's another thing. Like, the Dark Tower is something that's been tried a couple times, and it usually just falls flat. And then we finally got a movie with Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey, and it was garbage. It was so bad. Before I get to this quote from Mike Flanagan, I got it. Paul says, I demand a good Langoliers.
Ooh, I don't know if anyone should even try that one again.
No flying meatballs. Yeah, man, the Langoliers. Dude, I watched that freaking thing when it aired back in the day on TV.
The concept is actually really creepy and scary until you see them and you're like, oh, this is dumb.
But that's Stephen King. That's just Stephen King in a nutshell, though, because you know what? The Stand was one of the like most horrifying things I had ever read.
Oh yeah.
Until the end, which is that's Stephen King for you. He's like, this is gonna be amazing, and then I'm gonna take a crap right here and expect you to like it.
That's a common complaint is that he never sticks the landing.
He doesn't.
I mean, I get it. That stuff's not easy, but
no.
Maddie D. But would Mike Flanagan adapt Killer Lamp?
Yep, he would. The reason that I decided I should never be a writer is because of Stephen King, and I would write stories, and at the end,
people are inspired to do a thing because of Stephen King, and you're like, no.
Because I would write these stories, and they would be pretty good, but then I get to the end, and I'm like, I don't want to Stephen King this. Everyone dies. Everyone in the world, every single time.
You would George R.R. Martin that thing.
Yes, I'm like, so, every single person is dead.
every story. So it's just like, listen, you know how this book's gonna end. It's how I end all my books. It's about the journey.
Yeah,
I think that's what Game of Thrones is really Is that the real thing? There is like, oh, you know what? If I'm not careful, I'm going to Stephen King this thing. I better Red Wedding this thing instead.
Right.
Yep.
Well, even look at one of the few non-Mike Flanagan, I felt good Stephen King movies based on a Stephen King story. The Fog.
Yeah,
they changed the end. They Red Wedding. They Red Wedding that, and it didn't need to be.
Oh my god, it was so brutal too. Yeah, he even said, "I wish that was my ending." He even said, "Like that's a better ending."
Yeah, yeah. It was rare. I was so mad at that movie. To this day, I'm angry at that movie. So go watch it, because if it makes me angry for 30 or 20 or 30 years or whatever, how long I've been angry at that movie, then it's got to be something decent.
Dang, how old is that movie?
Which movie?
It's not that old.
The Fog? It's not that.
It's because
it's going to be surprisingly old, though.
The Mist.
The Mist. That's what I mean. The Mist.
And that's why I say it, because I'm always like 10 years ago when South Park came out, and Randy's like, that was like almost 30 years ago. And I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, we were just talking about this the other day. No, I meant The Mist. I said The Fog.
I knew what you meant, though. Yeah.
Fog, the original Fog is good. The John Carpenter Fog.
The original.
The remake of The Fog is one of the few remakes that truly is almost so bad it almost ruined the original.
Right.
It's real bad. It's so bad.
But The Mist is way more modern and way more hardcore.
The Mist is what I meant, and it's good. Okay, so
yeah. Sorry, real quick. Paul, you're correct. Stephen King is the original M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Shyamalan. That feels super like we've talked some trash on M. Night, but it
really is going to
comment fully like that feels wrong. But no, he is like he can't stick the ending.
Yeah.
So Mike Flanagan. The Mist is a haze to me. No more rated calls comments.
I'm sorry. It's a good one.
They're derailing us. Paul, some of them are good. Okay. Some of the comments are cool. Okay. I'm not yelling at you, Paul. It's not your fault. I'm trying to get this day-up story out. Mike Flanagan had said, where did he say this? He said this during the recent Fantasia International Film Festival, which is via Sci-Fi Wire. I'm reading this from comingsoon.net. Have I properly quoted all my sources yet? Quote,
I think so.
I've got the answer that most Stephen King fans are going to have, Flanagan said when asked what his dream project. The Dark Tower is forever going to be the story I wish I could tell. That would be the holy grail. I mean, talk about an adaptation challenge. So many very talented people have poured so much time and heart and soul and blood and sweat and tears trying to crack that. End quote. It's like, it's possible. I want to do it.
Yeah. It's like Dune. Dune is another one that everybody was like, I want to do it. And then like one or two people actually ever do it.
Dune Dune would be. And I actually honestly have not read The Dark Towers, but that's because I kind of gave up on
It's a
Stephen.
lot of books, yeah.
I gave up on Stephen King before that, which is sad to say, but it's true. Like, I read his short story books are fantastic. I read a couple of his not short story books, and I was like, "You're not writing porn anymore." First of all, second of all, come up with something scary. End it with something. Don't make us so scared, and then end up with something
like a lamp.
Yes, exactly, like a lamp. So that's my whole beef for that. So I gave up before The Dark Towers, and I know people love it. I kind of sometimes think I should read it, but I haven't. That being said, though, some things aren't made to be a movie. I mean,
some things aren't made to be made in movies.
Or into movies, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, could they try animation? Maybe that often allows things to happen
Anime
that you can't.
Cool.
Can't really happen in live action type movies. And maybe that's, I mean, like I said, I haven't read those, but maybe that's an option that would actually work for them rather than trying to shove it into a live action format.
By book 3, they should go anime because it goes really bonkers.
Sorry.
All right, I'll read another Paul comment. Even his biography is going to have a crap ending.
Oh, no. It almost did when he got hit by a van.
That would have been
that would have been such a
bad ending.
Oh, it's a Stephen King ending to Stephen King.
I think. Never mind. I'm not going to presume to know what Stephen King would think of that. He went through the trauma of getting hit by a van, so I'm not going to make light of it.
Right.
I was going to say I would think he would approve of that sentiment, but who knows what he thinks. Okay. Next story. This is real quick because of Halloween, and also Disney owns everything. Walt Disney World is finally making a big change to its rules for Halloween. So, I don't really know how to handle this other than just this is from cinemablend.com, and I'm gonna kind of lift some of this wholesale. Sorry. Halloween has always been a popular time at Disney's theme parks, and while this year the holiday is going to be handled a bit differently, Walt Disney World still plans to celebrate the spooky season. So it's getting rid of its after hours Halloween party, which apparently is a thing that they usually do because of the pandemic, the global pandemic. So
little thing,
but I mean, they're not closing anyway.
Right.
It's kind of half measure, if you ask me. But so they're getting rid of that. But what they're going to do instead is, they will allow adults, this is for the first time, to be able to wear full costumes inside the park during normal hours, which is interesting. And this is something they don't do because
horror movie waiting to happen.
It is a horror movie waiting to happen.
Killer clowns.
Shot on VHS.
Well, because I mean, that means any adult could walk in dressed as a Disney character and make the place look bad, make Disney look bad, but also like it's a security thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. How many people already die and have weird mysterious stuff happen in Disneyland that nobody ever knows about? Now they're going to add this in there. Come on.
So they're going to I'm curious as to what that means. Let's see.
Since only 50 of you are coming, we can keep track.
That could be, that's a good point. So I don't know. That's it. That's the whole story, but it's kind of interesting.
I wonder if they go it's COVID, so our $100 tickets are going to only be $10, or if instead they're it's COVID, we're only giving away 5 tickets, they're going to be $1,000.
Right, right.
Since we can't guarantee that you'll survive and come back.
Yeah.
It's $2,000. Sign this waiver. This waiver. Sign this wafer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Here's some Dole Whip.
Maddie D says, make Dark Tower as a TV series with CGI James Dean with the voice of Clint Eastwood as Roland.
Yes, please do.
All right. We got one more super fast, quick set of stories to do. This episode's going on. It's going long, but it's the same length it always is.
It really is.
Long. It's just a little longer.
All right. I don't have
prepare
yourselves.
Okay.
It's a Snyder watch. You knew we had to do it.
I want to put a Snyder face like right here on my wrist now.
It just watch.
Okay, be my
Zack
Snyder watch.
Yeah,
it's even better when you say it out loud.
For a moment, I was almost worried that I wasn't going to have any like good relevant stories. I got two.
Wait, relevant. Don't worry about good.
I have one relevant, but I have two stories. Okay, so Zack Snyder's.
Sorry, it mentioned Snyder. It's relevant.
Oh no, well yeah, that's true, but it's you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, first though, Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead gets a prequel film and spin-off anime series at Netflix. Netflix is like, whatever, give us all of it. So yeah, well, we talked a little bit about it. He's making Army of the Dead, which is it's set for 2021 release. It's a movie. And this is coming from comingsoon.net. Netflix is already starting to expand Zack Snyder's newest zombie universe as they officially commission the production of 2 new spin-off projects in form of an untitled multi-language prequel film. Oh, so the prequel will be a film and an original anime series titled Army of the Dead Las Vegas. Now, we already know that we talked about some type of anime series. Maybe this is an update on that, because we did formerly did a story where Netflix was going to do an anime series, and he was like a producer along with somebody who works with all the time, who actually like whatever their like studio has a deal with Netflix. But let's see. Snyder said in a statement, quote, "I'm incredibly excited for the opportunity to partner with Netflix again as he's got lots of deals with Netflix going on as we expand the Army of the Dead universe." Gotta get that cinematic universe before the movie even comes out. With both, that always goes well for you, Snyder. With both an international prequel as well as exploring the visually dynamic world of animation. That sounds like he has nothing to say about this. When you say something like that, as well as exploring the visually dynamic world of animation, you don't have anything to say. That's like you're supposed to write an essay at like a 2,000 word essay.
Yeah, you're padding the word count there.
You're like, I like cartoons. How can I say that in a fancy way?
It's been a great collaboration, and we are thrilled that Netflix sees this as big of an IP as we do. End quote.
As big of an IP as we do.
Sees this as big of an IP as we do. We're glad Netflix thinks this is a big international intellectual property worth investing in, is basically what he's saying.
Mm-hmm. Except they're being like,
as I do,
they're being fancy executive douches.
Yeah, but we've been reporting on executive douches long enough. You should know what IP is.
Yeah, I guess so.
The movie takes place in Las Vegas. I'm assuming this is the prequel. A zombie plague? No, this isn't the prequel. This is about Army of the Dead. Yeah, it sounded like a Vegas heist in zombie apocalypse. I'm very torn.
I don't know. Paul says Snyder's got Jack, so I'm thinking it's going to be like a pirate.
Oh,
Jack Sparrow?
Arr, matey.
Now the question is it going to suck?
I feel like maybe, and obviously he likes zombie stuff, so maybe that's it. But apparently Snyder's been working on this since 2007, trying to get it off the ground. Okay,
really gonna suck.
He's like,
so that's why Justice League sucked.
The only one that generally is well received and the critics didn't hate was Dawn of the Dead. Let's go back to that. What? Army of the Dead.
Back to the well.
I guess maybe 300, but like he doesn't own that property. He doesn't own Dawn of the Dead, but it's zombies, so
right.
Yeah.
Okay. What about Sucker Punch?
What about it?
I don't know. I still never watched Sucker Punch.
You haven't seen?
It doesn't make any sense. Don't
I've not heard good things about it.
No.
Paul says translation. I'm happy Netflix will give me money. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Sucker Punch is the most boring, awesome thing I've ever seen.
God, that's so Zack Snyder. So Zack Snyder. That's what I feel. That's what I assumed it would be. Like, I'm sure it looks amazing.
It does. That's it.
It's not a good movie. I'm assuming.
No good plot. I mean, it's just like a fever dream that looks cool, I guess. It doesn't make any sense.
He's great at visuals, man. Like, I don't count him that. Matty D, Sucker Punch sucked.
Maybe I haven't seen it. I think I might be confusing it with some of the things that I have seen.
Ninja Catholic schoolgirls with guns and every other internet thing that the internet likes.
Aerosmith video?
What?
Oh, yeah.
An Aerosmith video?
Kind of, if they give them swords.
The beginning of the back in when music was cool, Aerosmith had a video, and it had some Catholic schoolgirls.
Why do you had a video?
Rolling blades with some hockey sticks, rolling around, busting up some stuff. Okay.
It's so weird that you make yourself sound old when you're like, back when music was cool. You listen to Melanie has, and I don't know what point it happened, because when we first started dating, and I'm not the reason for it. This was not the case. She has a very eclectic and hip sense of taste in music. And she listens to all kinds of crazy stuff from all periods of time, including a lot of modern stuff where I'm like, what is this? She's like, I don't know. I found it on YouTube. So she makes herself sound old when she's like, when music was cool, but man, she listens to some cool stuff.
I listen to stuff that's going to be cool next year.
Right.
And then I listen to some stuff that wasn't even cool 30 years ago, but I think it's awesome. So there you go.
So Paul says Sucker Punch is like Sharknado, but with ninjas. I would argue that Sharknado is at least funny.
Yeah, Zack Snyder doesn't seem the type to me to like really be good at like injecting humor into things.
I haven't really seen it. Haven't seen it. No.
Humor's not his thing.
No. Not on purpose.
You know what? You know what apparently is his thing?
Skateboarding.
Yeah?
You cheated.
I did cheat, but you know what comes here's a thing that you forgot. You forgot in the news. Guess what comes out tomorrow? It has to do with skateboarding.
Oh, dude, you know what's so funny? I almost did forget, and I was so excited about it. Like, the demo's been out for a while. I played it like 3 times, and that's it. Like, when Randy's super into something, he'll stream every day for a month. When he decides he's done with everything, with games, he just drops it.
He just doesn't play games anymore.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, the remastered, whatever. Yeah, it's out tomorrow, and I'll have it. I'll be able to play it. Maybe I will do a stream of it finally.
Can you play as Zack Snyder though?
No, they. You know what? It's junk. I'm calling it right now. The game is ruined. Can't play Zack Snyder.
Yeah, because what does Zack Snyder do? He skateboards.
Okay, so this was the second. This is why I say I had one relevant story. This is the second story. It must have been a slow news day, because the article I found this in was from today. The tweet is from like a month ago. So, so this is here's a video. I'll even play it for you guys. Here's a tweet, because Twitter is news. Zack Snyder skateboarding on the house on the Man of Steel set. You know, seeing him skateboard on it though. So it's that looks like that was like the he said in the House of L. So like the Krypton, one of the Krypton sets. Yeah. Seeing him skateboard it, it looks like it was designed to be skateboarded on.
It really does. It really does. Well, now that I see it, it's like, oh, you know what? The Superman symbol on Henry Cavill's chest looks like it's made to be skateboarded on.
So Zack Snyder, skateboarder. I did not know this.
I mean, that's a decent curve there too.
Right.
I mean, like, it's a pretty tight turn there.
He's got control. He knows what he's doing. Maybe this guy's pretty hip. He's pretty cool.
Yeah. Sure.
Snyder Watch.
Come
here for this. Most important pressing news. Oh, we do have one more story to talk about. I'm sorry, I forgot. Well, we have trailer. Let's blow through this trailer.
Trailer.
Well, I'm not going to show it though. Welcome to the Blumhouse.
Oh yeah.
They released a trailer. Jesse had found this and shared it with us, and it's just clips from the movies. So we did a story. We covered this a little while ago, but Blumhouse, Amazon Prime has a deal with Amazon Prime. Basically, they started their like a little imprint. Welcome to the Blumhouse, and they're gonna get not their A-tier bad movies.
Right.
They do good movies too. They're A-tier movies, but they're gonna get. It's the Horror Fest, 8 films to die for. I finally remembered what the name of that was, where it's like a company's like, here's a bunch of like, they're not necessarily bad, but they're lower budget horror movies. We're gonna rebrand them so we could package them together, and if you like one, you might buy the other ones, and that's kind of what this is. And it's the trailer's just got a bunch of clips from them. Some of them look pretty cool.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't really get a
not too bad.
looks
Granted, it's a trailer, and they did it well. So
right, and it's a trailer for like 5 movies.
right,
So,
right.
Who knows?
Who knows how much of each movie we actually saw there?
Right.
That was my only complaint with the commercial, the trailer, was I'm like, I saw this and I was like, that looks like a really good movie, and then they said it's like 4 movies, and I'm like, oh, well,
Yeah.
one looks good at least,
Yeah.
but
Right.
who knows which one? And I mean, I probably could figure it out, but so that was my main complaint. But then again, that now that I think about it, and you guys have been talking about it, some of my favorite stuff, honestly, is what are they called? Where they have a bunch of movies in one.
Oh, anthologies.
Anthologies, yeah. Some of my favorite movies are anthologies, and this feels like a really long anthology, maybe. You know what I mean? Like it's 4 movies that are movie length, but they're kind of similar, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to watch them around the same time either. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, they're all standalone, but I'm guessing, yeah, it is smart in that it's packaged. Again, there's going to be standalone movies, but they're packaging them together under this brand to where it is like an anthology, where it's like, well, if you like this, keep watching. It's in the same vein, or at least you kind of know what to expect in terms of
Like a
quality
curated experience.
Right. Matt D, I don't know if this is based on anything, but yes, any of them, Manos, the Hands of Fate? I'm going to say no. They're
I
all
didn't see that
new.
one in there, no.
They're all original. Unless somebody was going to remake it, which is a weird choice, but sure.
I love that this is the first, I think this is the first message he's done tonight that's all caps. So it's really excited about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
also, Paul pointed out that this was the first Snyder watch where we actually watched Snyder.
That's true.
We did. We watched
True.
his skateboard. I will say, like, so this is just a hype piece. It's just a commercial. It's a preview. It's like, hey, this is a thing that exists. World, come check it out. Amazon Prime.
Mhm.
But that said, like the clips that I saw, of course, it's hard to tell with digital. Like, it's not like back in the day where you could see something and be like, oh, that looks cheap. It didn't look cheap. The little clips I saw, they looked fine. The production looked okay. So, it's a good sign.
And cheap doesn't necessarily even mean bad. I mean, a lot of times it does, but not always.
Yeah, not necessarily.
But
Camp Blood last night. So
Murder Party.
hey,
Party.
I'm saying it was cheap, but it was good. It's not bad.
You're right.
man, what was that? I wish we could remember that one that was like a VHS tape that was actually a really good movie. And it was like not only like good, it was like really thoughtful and like
yeah, that's the one I was
and like made you ponder existence, which you don't expect that from any movie, especially when recorded on VHS. But it was really good.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. It was shot on VHS. And it was something about serial killer where most of the movie was so like it seemed so stereotypical to where it was like it wasn't great. Like it was pretty well made for just an obvious no budget VHS movie. But like the story was like, oh, until there's a twist, and then you're like, that changes everything. And it's like
it makes
suddenly
it so profound. You know?
Suddenly what was like this super like run of the mill bland serial killer movie turned into like something super deep, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
What is that? Yeah. Oh God, I know. I need to figure out. I'll track that. I have no idea how we're gonna track that down. I'll figure out what that was and see if the writer at least went on to do anything, because that's got to be like the best shot on VHS movie that ever was.
It reminds me also of Mike Flanagan. When we originally discovered him or whatever, it was some crappy, like cheap-looking Netflix show that Randy made fun of me for watching because of the wine-drinking ladies. He's like,
oh, it wasn't. That wasn't even Netflix.
Yeah, it was Netflix. It was Netflix. It was the goat, the Billy Goat Scruff type thing. Remember?
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about, but like that was I think his first feature.
Yeah, it was.
And he kickstarted it. It was a Kickstarter funded thing because he'd done a short. And yeah, well, you were watching it one day randomly, and I come home from work on lunch or something, and there's a scene where it's just like women. Okay, I'm gonna make myself sound real bad. I'm sorry I'm not sorry. I guess I'm sorry to me for exposing myself, but the scene's just like two women sitting there drinking, and I'm like, oh, women drinking wine movie. What are you watching? It's really good. You should watch it. I'm sure it's great. No, I'm not gonna watch this woman movie. Just some chick sitting around drinking wine. I was just making fun of her, I was just being a jerk. And eventually she's like, she even said, she's like, you have to watch this movie. I don't want you to think it's just some like women drinking wine movie. It's so much better than that. It would make me sad if that's all you thought of it or something like that. And so we watched it, and yeah, it's a great horror movie. So he also did Oculus, which I don't think gets a lot of attention, but there's a Doctor Who connection. It has a Amy Pond.
Yeah.
That's a really good movie. It's got a downer ending, and horror movies mainstream don't do well if they have downer endings.
His first two that Oculus and the first one both did have downer endings, so
right. Because he makes good horror movies, and he's like, that's how you do a good horror movie.
That is how you do a good horror movie.
I ain't Stephen King in this stuff till I'm bigger in my career. Everyone dies.
Red Wedding.
Yep.
Okay. Showgirls. Maddie D says Showgirls made me ponder the existence of life and made me think really deep. Well, at least ponder why I rented this movie and wanted my 2 hours back.
Well, I think that Showgirls should make every man ponder their existence.
I've never watched the whole thing.
Really?
It's supposed to be like fun because it's so bad.
Oh no, it's not.
It's really bad.
It's bad.
It's just bad.
It's just bad. It makes me.
Verhoeven though.
That what's his name from
Twin Peaks?
Yeah.
Kyle. It eludes me right now, but yes, yeah.
That man. It's like he should have just disappeared in the 80s because of that movie. I mean, that's harsh of me, but I'm like, oh no, just stay irrelevant.
Kyle MacLachlan.
Rather than doing this, you should have just stayed irrelevant. That's how bad it was. Okay.
It's got a cult status. And he's good. He somehow manages to find his way into stuff with cult status.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Paul, everyone died in Brightburn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we don't have to get there. We don't have to get into it. Brightburn's not terrible, okay?
It's not, but it could have been so much better.
That's squandered.
Yeah.
Squandered potential.
Now I can't do that for my creepy kid movie. Thanks, Paul.
Oh, there
could have been my creepy kid movie.
So let's reiterate that again. Next week, maybe I'll do some promotion. Next week, I did no promotion this week.
I'll find the Children of the Corn thing that I drew as a child because I was like, this is awesome. They kill all the adults. I'll find that for you to scan, and then you can use that as background.
I like that.
Yep.
I like that. And yeah, and we can do a little show and tell.
I'm not going to do Children of the Corn, but I'm just going to say it inspired me as a child. Okay.
So next week's horror theme is creepy children, creepy kids. They can either be the villains or just a horror movie with creepy kids. Yeah,
but they have to be creepy either way. Even if they're not the main bad guy, you have to think they are for a little bit.
Right. Like if there's just a kid in there, but they're not creepy.
Mm-hmm.
No,
but we will accept things like The Ring, or I would accept like a Pet Sematary, even though that's not creepy. The creepiest part of that movie was Gage. So,
I mean, yeah, the horror movie itself doesn't have to be creepy because there's a lot of Camp Blood was not creepy. Okay, so like it just has to be a horror thing.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Melanie.
Yes, sir.
What should we be amazed about?
We should be amazed about a NASA-funded scientist that claims new thrusters that he invented could approach the speed of light. He works for California State University, and his name is Jim Woodward. his idea is that they would have these tiny crystals that vibrate tens of thousands of times per second when an electrical current is supplied. The idea is that they would have like a internal nuclear power facility that would provide the electricity, but then the crystals and their friction, basically, or their movement, I suppose, the kinetic energy would be what would thrust the ship. And they've actually been working on this for a while, but they made a model of it that they used it and they were like surprised how fast it actually went. They were like, whoa, this is like something that we could actually apply to the real world and it would do some good. It's not just like something that is like, a hypothetical. They made it works way better than they thought. And they were like, yeah, this could do it, so that's really exciting because I believe pretty firmly that humans are kind of crap and we're going to destroy the planet. And our only chance to survive is finding a planet that's, not dead yet that we could live on. And I'm assuming exploit and kill also, but whatever, find another planet still. Right now, that's really not feasible because it would take generations to get to the next habitable planet unless we terraform Mars and stuff, but that would take generations also. So my point being, if we want the human species to survive, we're probably going to have to travel through space. And this, if it works out the way that it seems to have been working out in their trials, is the closest thing we have to a feasible way to do that. And that's super exciting to me because, I've always liked sci-fi no matter what, but my biggest hard on for science is pioneering a new planet. That's like my bread and butter. I'm like, oh, that would be so amazing. Like going to a new planet, finding like dangers, which is scary, but that's part of the fun.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Possibly, other species that we never knew existed that could be intelligent, and even if they're not, they're still other species, which is amazing. But if they're cute, it could be like nibblers, which is like cute and intelligent. So space travel, actual like space exploration, depends on us finding a better way to travel through space, and this is that next step, possibly.
I have two comments on it. First off, what's with this crystal technology? It's so weird to me.
Time crystals. Now we got dilithium crystals, basically.
Yeah, my other comment is I see this story and your previous story combining. They're gonna combine the time crystals with this crystal technology and time travel at the speed of light. I don't know. Something crazy is gonna happen.
Tortoise! Oh my goodness, Randy, you're a genius. I'm gonna go tell the scientific community, and they're gonna follow you.
So, but the main thing is like, I've never understood like some early radio, or you could like back in the day, you could buy little radio kits that used quartz crystals and stuff, or you can use quartz crystals to like keep time. Like I know there's chiptunes guys that'll like use quartz crystals to connect equipment to Game Boys so it keeps time together. And I'm like, what is this crystal technology? And now you're talking about time crystals and speed of light rocket crystals. I would not expected crystals to be where future technology goes. Well, it's so weird, and it shouldn't be alien, but it seems alien to me.
It's not alien at all, in my opinion. It's not really where I haven't expected it to go, because I expect a lot more to happen in the quantum realm and the stuff that we really don't even understand, but we know it works. That's what I would expect the future to be, but it's not really so much. I mean, partially, but part of it is crystals are predictable, like they form in different ways, but we know this is going to turn into this kind of crystal because that's what it always does, and it always will forever.
We're using rocks for technology.
Making crystals switch into their different lattices is an easy, predictable pattern we can create or recreate to make it do things we want it to do.
So all the new age woo-woo crystal women are right?
In a form. I mean,
you don't want to commit to that at all.
In a sense.
I mean, they blew it into the extreme, but I mean, crystals have their
tapping into the wavelength.
It's not even so much the crystal. It is the crystal, but it's the geometric patterns that they form, which happen to make crystals. You know,
like we talked about it on the show, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we didn't. That camera they used for some of Mary Poppins that had like a crystal, some type of crystal that was perfectly formed to where it would split out the different in the film camera. Maybe we didn't talk about it on here.
I don't think we did.
What?
I don't think we did.
So we were watching this thing where they were talking about specifically this one like scene from Mary Poppins to where it was all technically green screen and it looks more impressive than any current green screen stuff. Like just the compositing, the people like you wouldn't have guessed it was green screen.
That's because it wasn't really green screen. It was 2 copies of the same film. It was like this film split in 2, so it wasn't really.
Well, okay, no, it's the same principle as green screen though, where they have a background that's like a solid color or whatever that they can then use to composite something else back there. That's what I mean by green screen. That's the quickest way to get to get the concept of what's going on to people.
Okay,
you know,
I kind of get it.
You watched the video with me.
I watched it, but I mean, it was different from green screen though because it was.
Well, yeah. But it's the same principle where they make it. They split the colors so that they end up with the regular footage and then a Luma mat. Nobody that doesn't work with video stuff knows what a Luma mat is. So it's a Luma mat is what we're talking about. Anyway, the point was this camera is like one of the only cameras that could perfectly split these colors and the different frequencies to create the Luma mat versus, just actually record the footage. And they use that to create like a perfect composite. And the only reason it's in Mary Poppins is because this camera happened to have a one of a kind, like perfect crystal that would split. That would split the color frequencies, the light frequencies just right. And the camera disappeared. And they don't know what happened to it.
They filmed Mary Poppins, the camera disappeared.
And there's never been and there's never been one as good, perfect.
What if they put those crystals into a lamp? Would that lamp kill people?
Maybe. I mean,
and then you've got a Stephen King story.
I mean, crystals kind of like are sort of like weird magnifying glasses, only multifaceted. So yeah, I'm gonna say I'd say they kill several people.
Paul says like a prism. Yeah, I mean exactly. Basically, yeah, that's pretty much it. So my theory is the crystal in that camera was some type of alien crystal, but since it's Hollywood, it found its way into the camera through mob connections. And then either the mob, the government, or the aliens needed that crystal back.
Or Jim Henson, because he made the dark crystal.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. It's not easy being green.
No.
That's our show. Sorry to get a crappy with you, Melanie, about the like green screen thing. It's just like
it's not easy being green screen, Crystal.
God. Yes, I'm sorry too. So hey everybody, that's our show. Maybe I'll stream tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe I'll stream some Tony Hawk over on Twitch.
Hey, do we have something coming for our Patreons? Since we
do.
Got one of them watching.
So hey, by the way, hey Maddie D, you know what, everybody? Maddie D's the coolest. You too could be the coolest, maybe. If you go to Grawlix, if you go to patreon.com/Grawlix podcast, go find us on Patreon, okay? And become a member or
it's also up there. It's up there on the screen. Way at the top of the screen. It says.
And you can listen to our special Labor Day episode coming Monday.
I'm excited about this because I haven't heard it yet. And you guys made it sound incredible.
This was Melanie and Randy chug a monster and get on the radio or on the microphone. I mean,
we did randomly. We sat down. We're like, what should we record? What's coming up? Labor Day. And it was gonna just be like, well, I'll amend this to the beginning of the regular episode that comes out on Labor Day, and then we recorded for like 20 minutes, and then I was like, we can't put this out. Like, this is too. This is like, it's too raw. It's going to Patreon.
Can I give them the little preview?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so the preview is Labor Day. This is the day when everyone who Labor Day is supposed to support still has to work.
Right.
And it continues on. So that's kind of what it's about.
If you want more, you're gonna have to join us on Patreon to find out.
Yeah. I mean, come on. We can't put it on the main feed. That's got to be intriguing enough.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, other than that, I've got nothing else going on. So thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for watching. Remember, Grawlixpodcast.com if you want to hear more. And, tell your friends. Tell your mom.
Yep.
Tell your dog.
Mm-hmm.
Our dog numbers are real low. We need to get those dog listens up.
Dog numbers are COVID, right?
It doesn't help that they don't own computers or mobile devices, but
a rant.
So a rant? Oh, for the Labor Day thing? No, we put the rants on the public feed. What are you talking about?
When do we ever rant?
I feel like it does get a little ranty.
Like we're ranting about ranting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody, take it easy and have a good weekend.
Yep.
Bye.